is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 244. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E, sitting here on a Sunday, beautiful Austin, Texas, bye week. Austin, Texas here during the 2025 Leagues Cup. Turned out last week, he had COVID, which I think marks our third or maybe fourth episode where we record with one of us having COVID, and the fifth or sixth time that we've gotten COVID from Austin FC related things. So fully recovered now. How you feeling, my friend?
I don't think I'm fully recovered. Still got a little nasal stuff going on here,
gunk.
But can smell again, which is nice. Can taste, which is good because that was.
You do love smelling your own farts.
That's oh my god. Yeah, sure, okay. Yeah, you got me.
That means E is mad, my friend. So it's time to get into the rest of today's episode. Before we do all of that, and we do have a lot of kind of busy work to run through here, I think. Obviously no match to recap for the first team. Do have a second team match to recap from earlier here on Sunday afternoon. And, of course, the nonsense at the end. Of course, I also want to remind you all listening, whether you're listening in the audio version or watching on the YouTube channel, that you can support the show financially by downloading the audio versions of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. So, look, you can toggle on auto downloads, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get those pods. That'll support the show going forward. You won't have to think about it again. If you only watch on the YouTube channel, go to your podcast app. Download our episodes. You don't have to listen there. We just want the downloads. And if you are watching on the YouTube channel, hitting the subscribe button also helps us grow the show. Over 500 now, E503 on the YouTube channel. You can also hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, here on episode 244 of the North End Podcast, hit the thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. So let's do a little bit of cleanup from our episode last Sunday following the 4-2 victory over DC United. I tried to rattle off the dome how many 4-goal games we had in club history. And while I was correct that it was the first 4-goal game since that San Jose win at home last April, I missed 3 games that we have scored four or more goals in here. And it was our buddy E7 Diablo in the YouTube comments. So shout out to E7. I didn't know if that was your burner and you were holding out information on me or what, but shout out to Diablo there. So at Minnesota, July 2023, that was a kind of a random 4-1 win there in the middle of what was a mostly down year back in 2023. Home SKC, August 13th, 2022, which was, I think, the week before we started the North End Podcast with episode 1. That was the 4-3 victory over Sporting KC at home. That was the Danny Husen, wonder goal, that volley from the Felipe cross in there, kind of just service into the box there. I think our buddy Peach still considers that Danny Husen goal the best individual goal scored in club history, which I'm not arguing that.
I'm a Danny fan. Everyone knows I'm a big Husen fan.
When Husen was out there, right? He was fun. He was fun. Well, not there much.
No, he didn't play a lot.
But here's where I hang my head in total shame. And rightfully so, dude. The first ever home win, 4-1 against Portland. How did I seriously, some of the biggest shame I felt in terms of trying to be the Jason Bourne of useless shit. As you have coined my role here. So shout out to E7 Diablo for making sure we come correct here.
Yeah, and this is how you know Zach's mad, folks, when he says stuff like that. I feel shame. Okay.
Look, and E7 Diablo was not done, man.
No.
This helped us out. Yeah, really appreciate pointing us to the rule regarding free kicks, right? We were confused by the vertical line drawn next to the DC wall on that Diego Rubio free kick last weekend. And so this is actually a rule that, from what I can find, was a rule change globally in 2019, so you and I, not crazy for thinking that we've seen opposing or offensive players in the middle of a defensive wall in soccer before. But now the rule is, after 2019, when there are 3 or more defending players that form a wall on a free kick, all of the attacking team's players must remain at least 1 yard from that wall until the ball is in play. So that makes a lot of sense why Ilie couldn't stand directly in that channel, but when he stepped towards Diego, he became legal there. I still feel like we've seen offensive players in the middle of a defensive wall while we've been watching MLS the last few years, but I guess I can't really point to one off the top of my head, so maybe I'm just thinking about, watching soccer before 2019, but it was puzzling. But again, that is the rule, so one more shout out to E7 Diablo there.
Well done. Isn't there someone in the wall on the Diego free kick versus Houston? Like, I was trying to think of.
It's a good question.
Isn't there?
You want me to hit I have the pod intro right
I
here.
know.
You just go watch the replay. We'll do it after. But
okay. But yes, I feel like I definitely 100% have seen it happen before.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm just a fool or I'm just not remembering this properly. I definitely as well cannot point to one situation, but that's the first thing that came to mind because it feels like I remember seeing some green jerseys in that orange wall there.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Maybe we can get even more conversation going on that. Maybe somebody else has an example of that happening. But anyways, we can go ahead and move on here to more shout outs here. The North End pronunciation czar is back. So Ari was helping me out this week on the pronunciation of who I was calling Batuhan Arisi, right? The Turkish American signing left back there for the second team that was officially signed last week. Ari, of course, very familiar with the Balkan languages over there and everything that comes with the fancy or funny looking letters that, I tend to struggle with here.
Yeah.
So according to Ari, the name is Batuhan Araja. And it has to do with those I's in Turkish sounding like sounds. And again, that's just unfair for a white dude like me, dude. I'm too pale for that.
Yeah, that's trickery. That's sorcery.
But shout out to Ari for showing up once again and helping out the pod. And one more shout out to our buddy Jim, who we were having a conversation with in the emails this week. And again, if you got something to say, you don't want to leave a comment on the episode publicly, you can always email us at thenorthendpod@gmail.com. So Jim did just that. And we were talking about how it kind of feels like, it's always the level of energy in Q2 is always elevated when there's a chant that goes on that everybody gets into, not just the South End and the diehards who are there game in and game out. And I feel like that we've seen a little bit more of that this year with some of the more simple chants, right? Of course, ATX, all right, that type of stuff, Dale ATX. It's just, oh man, just like talking about that with Jim made me that much more excited for the next 2 games, returning to Q2 against Houston and Dallas these next 2 weekends. So shout out to Jim for the message. And man, can't wait to get back to Soccer Church.
I know. That's how I'm feeling right now too. It was really rocking like that in 2022 because I feel like that might have been our peak for actual season ticket holders. And then you slowly seeing this decline where it's like there's a lot more people who aren't, fully immersed in it, season ticket holders in on all this shit. So it has ticked up a little bit as of late. I think so as well. But 2023, you couldn't get anyone outside of the South End to really know what was going on. And
especially
that
by the end there.
includes me as well, trying to do the Spanish songs half the time. But
I love just hearing the noises that you'll make sometimes to fill in a couple lines.
Participating, I'm
involved. It's better than being silent.
Yeah, there's definitely been some highs and lows with that, but it has seen an uptick here and keep winning, man. Yeah, there'll be a lot more people who are there consistently.
Yeah, no question. So let's talk about some actual stuff here with the team. Congrats to both Owen Wolf and Osman Bukhari, both guys named to the MLS team of the match day there. Owen with his nice little Audi goals, little tag there. on this graphic. And well-deserved, man. A goal and an assist for both players. Well-deserved.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, I was randomly thinking about that game and that dunk that he had in that matchup, man, and just what a freaking goal that was. Like, absolutely just bonked on that guy. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to both of them. That's fantastic. Is that multiple for Owen? I think that's Osman's first, right?
Of the season, I think so. I feel like Owen's gotten one before earlier in the season, right? When he like came out on that tear to start the year, right?
I think so too. I want to say that's his second.
Yeah, but I mean, goals in back-to-back games for the kid, which he has not scored before those last 2 games. So, heating up again, man. If he can sandwich this season, right, with the hot start and an even hotter finish, again, the ceiling on this team is a little bit higher than we thought a month or 2 ago.
Yeah, and I mean, look at this now. He's out there playing on the left wing, right? Like, how many times have we seen this kid be put into situations that's not his normal position, and he's thriving? I mean, like you said, these back-to-back goals is because he's found himself out there. He's making the most of it. So he just continues to impress me, man. He's super versatile, and I'm really glad that he made that team, because I just feel like he's always going to be kind of written off and not someone that like gets the proper credit that he deserves. But the kid's a freaking baller, man.
Yeah. Well, and this is purely cosmetic, but like we were speculating a couple weeks ago as Bukhari was growing his hair back out a little bit more, a little bit longer than we've seen it this season. You and I were saying, I don't know if we said it on the pod, but at least privately, we were like, we want the twisties back, man, from when he first got here. Not the twisties, but we've got Osman with the braids here. And like, I don't know, man, it's not going to hurt the aerodynamics of our fastest player to get those kind of tamped down there. I like the new look, man. I think Osman's feeling himself a little bit here. Like, new look, been scoring, assisting, creating chances, and even tracking back and making some big defensive plays over the last month or 2. Everything changed for the guy when we abandoned the Buka on the left bullshit from the beginning of the year.
Oh my God, please don't take me back there.
We're past it, dude.
That was really, really, really dark times there. This might be a response to the pitch wettening conspiracy.
Need to counteract.
Counteract it.
Oh man, so like meet the team yesterday out there at the Q. Obviously, you were still recovering, so no E out there, but I did go and brave the crowds at the QE solo, but I was far from solo there, right? Like, first thing I do when I step up there, you see the Pirates, go hang out with Mike and B a little bit. We got inside the gates and had different priorities in terms of which signatures we were trying to get, so we caught up a little bit later in the event. I would shout out the guys, though, the players as a whole, because look, it's a lot easier to be smiley and bubbly when you're on a good run of form. Right. Sure. And you've got a week off here. The vibes are good. But we've had, I've been to 4 of these now. It both credit to the players and the club, man. They have streamlined this thing. The lines were as quick as they've ever been. Obviously, you and I had the just horrible experience the first year where we stood in the Driussi line and didn't even get to the front in 2+ hours there. But I will, I got to do this before I talk about this, I guess.
Rumors, whispers, made up trades, consequences we never weigh. Logic's thin, the mic is hot. Let's pretend this means a lot. Taking shots from way downtown, hoping no one writes it down. Hot takes flying without hesitation. It's time for some reckless speculation.
All right, so there was one player who was noticeably grumpy. And the only reason I'm bringing this up on the pod, and still putting the drop in front of it, was that I saw at least one other person mention that they thought Hader Obrian was just scowling, not really responding to fans who were kind of greeting him there. I had that same experience. Like, again, there could be so many reasons why any of these guys would be in a bad mood at any point in time. It could be something having to do with their individual situations with the team as a whole, or their personal life, right? So again, that's why we play the drop. But it also, like, it's just the next kind of little footnote in this Hodder Obrian summer transfer window saga that we've been talking about. And again, it was like, it stood out, especially to me, because of how cheery the other guys were throughout the event.
You know, he hasn't got any goals. You know, he's got no goal contributions this year. Like, so I think he's frustrated with that. I don't know if there's stuff going on behind the scenes. And also, I can't give him too much like issue here, because I'd be miserable too. Like, I don't, I don't care how
it's like me coming up to you trying to talk Spanish.
Trying to talk Spanish to me. Shut up, dude. Get out of here. Yeah. So like, I can't be too upset, because I know for a fact that I'd be miserable. So we'll see, man.
But look, just adding it to the hot air notes here, because we got 17 more days, I think, of this transfer window. So, and there you go, adding it to the notepad. And if somebody's going out, I think for me, he's suspect number one right now.
You know, I think I've made my list clear. Hot air's on there, Julio's on there. It's a short list, and I think those two guys are the top priorities for different reasons.
Yeah. Well, I got to meet our friend Jana for the first time, who's always supporting the podcast there. So it was great to meet Jana. I got to see our buddy, the Ribbinator. Adam was out there, dude, who I haven't seen in a minute. So it was great to catch up with Adam, and then Hudson as well. Got to meet some of his friends and family waiting in the line for Stuver and CJ and Danny and those guys in the East Club. It was a great event, man. And shout out to the guys once again for playing along with all the sickos who come out to that every year.
Yeah, it sounded like it was a good time, man.
Yeah. So back to the actual soccer talk here. We Are Austin TV reported this morning, that a source told them that the first team played a closed door scrimmage today on Sunday at Q2 against Charleston Battery. So potentially a Vigo Ortiz sighting there. With Charleston. It did cause me to go look up Vigo's stats there with Charleston. It doesn't seem like he's getting a ton of run there. I know he's super young, right? Yeah. But turns out not the next wonderkin that we're, at least at this point, that we're super sorry that we let go. Which is good, right? It's good to have that read and not be losing big time assets for nothing. So I'll be interested to see if anything comes out later today on Sunday about the results of that friendly or any other information therein. So that's what I tried to ask one of the guys yesterday. I was like, hey, did you guys inter squad this morning? Did you play a friendly? Like, no, regular training. So it makes sense that they wouldn't do it yesterday and just have that game cadence here today. So that's what we wanted, right? We wanted that kind of game week preparation to stay in form there. Because, dude, this is going forward from today. There is a league match for Austin every weekend except for one between now and decision day. So we are officially coming into the home stretch. Yeah,
I mean, as long as everyone stayed healthy, then I'm good to go.
Yeah. Well, I also asked Mikel Dessler what was his toughest matchup so far this year. He said Joseph Paintso. So I found that a little interesting.
I mean, A+ in regard to handling them. Yeah, so well done.
Absolutely. Yeah, no question. So let's catch up on some of the rumor mill, right? And there's really no updates on incoming guys. We just have rumors falling away here, E. So we'll start with Kervin Tutti Andrade. I think that's probably the guy between he and Diego Palacios. We wanted that Andrade rumor to come true more than anything here, just because of the positionality, right? But this report here, which came from RTI Esporte, right, and Wilson Pimentel, this has been an outlet that has been reporting on both the Andrade rumor and the Diego Palacios rumor. I guess you can make up your own mind on if this was actually real or not. I lean towards the former because of RTI not being the only source that picked up on these rumors kind of throughout the last month or two. But in this report, RTI is saying that talks broke down between the two clubs for Andrade over the purchase clause in the potential loan deal, E. Fortaleza reportedly wanted the purchase option to be $4 million for 80% of Andrade's rights, because I believe his previous club owns 20%, I believe. Okay. But either way, we know that previous reports said that Austin had bid $3 million for that purchase clause, with Orlando City bidding $2 million. And then also in the report, it says that the two clubs couldn't come to an agreement agreement on if the purchase option would be in full at the time of that clause being picked up, or being exercised rather, or if it would be paid in multiple installments there. So kind of breaking down over the financial numbers. And I also think I think it's fair to at least speculate that the Brandon Vasquez injury may have thrown a wrench into any and all of the negotiations that have been going on here. I don't think that's a given, but it's certainly something to consider.
I mean, I considered it a couple weeks ago.
For sure.
I said that this was going to change how this transfer window was going to look. And it's like, just with the way that exception works and with the way that you can get someone in here, I think you have to find some sort of replacement. And it's not a 1-for-1, but like you got to get a guy who we can count on to be able to produce for us. And like, if it's not a long-term thing, if it's a short loan or what have you, but like there's just not an infinite amount of money, because like now this is available to us. And like at the same time, if we were negotiating these guys, and I think that the Palacios thing gives it even more credence that we really made some adjustments here. And we went back to the Roto quote about like him not making what was like snap judgments or like panic signings.
Panic signings.
And I don't necessarily think this would be a panic signing. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that it created a situation where we had to revisit everything that was on the table here. So, got to keep seeing how this plays out. But I do think that the BV injury is having a huge impact on this transfer window.
Yeah. And it is here. Palacios is the next rumor that has kind of broken down here. This was Bruno Casucci and Gabriel Oliveira for Globo GE down there, I believe in Brazil. This was the first report that things broke down between Austin and Corinthians on the Palacios loan. And in this report, Globo Esporte said that Palacios initially was not interested in the move to Austin FC. And by the time he was convinced to accept the loan move, Austin moved on. And that to me says Vasquez injury. Because in this report, it also says that, RTI Esporte followed up on the Globo report saying that everything was set, but Corinthians took too long to send the paperwork that would initiate the process, with the leagues and everything. And that Austin had a verbal agreement with Palacios, with him scheduled to be in Austin on Friday, August 1st. Wow. So again, like that second report makes me think that it might not have been the Vasquez thing that changed it, right? That if there was an expected arrival date here, that this got kind of to the 11th hour and just collapsed. And again, like, I'm disappointed. I wanted Diego Palacios because I think even at 80% of what he was with LAFC, right, coming off this knee injury, it's an upgrade. As much as we love Biru and like think that we're fine with the Biru Kolmanich pairing, at least for now, right? But like both of these things breaking down, and with the additional reporting that's coming out of South America, like something else, I feel like it's because something else is coming. And again, there is still 2.5 weeks for more moves to be made. And I would still be surprised if Roto was done.
Yeah, no, I'd be shocked if he was done. I mean, we were basically reporting on this like it was a done deal. And like that gives it even more power to say like, yeah, he was expected to be here on the 1st of this month, which is just absolutely nuts. And yeah, I guess speculation goes to, again, my point about like there just not being an infinite amount of cash to use. And like if you're going after someone to use this SCI spot, then yeah, you're going to have some money lying around, because you're not just going to get these guys for free. So this is interesting, man. It's a bummer. I don't necessarily know if the elevated play of Biru as of late went into this decision for sure. But like, again, what we've seen, like we talked about with Owen, him in that position now and allowing Biru to really be free up that left side of the pitch and like advance and find spaces to crawl into, which he is really, really good at. So I don't think that is something that's coming into play too much, but there's something going on. And, to me, it points to the BV injury.
Yeah. When I will also shout out, speaking of BV, shout out to Seth Rao, who pointed out to me that in the press release about Brandon's knee injury, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, that in the fourth paragraph of that release, it said that Brandon was placed on the SEI, right? That season-ending injury list. So we've updated the sheets here at the northendpodcast.com. You can see on the screen if you're watching on the YouTube channel, we've got BV in that SEI spot, which opens up, right, for now, for the rest of the 2025 season, that 21st senior slot and the additional DP slot. But again, does not open an international slot either. So I want to see a player fill that slot, right?
Yeah.
We need a forward. You're probably not going to get a DP level player. You're maybe not even going to get like a replacement level player, like a non-DP level replacement player. But I just want somebody that can eat up, 10, 15 minutes at the end of some of these matches. Because no matter what, I think, again, you're not going to get somebody that's close to that DP level at this point. It doesn't feel like, and you're just going to have to count on Izuni for as many full 90s as you can. But when we can get him some rest, we need somebody that's not a black hole out there where you're playing, 10 on 11.
Yeah. I mean, somebody who can eat up 10 to 15 minutes, I think you're calling for Giassi Zardes. That's what it sounds like.
Oh, shit.
Or Will Bruin.
He is in town. Or bring the Corona as well. Oh, man. Well, I mean, dude, we also have somebody on this roster that can eat up 10 to 15 minutes. I think CJ Faudré, so like maybe we see some more time for CJ down the stretch here. And maybe that roster slot, right? The additional SEI slot, maybe it's not an out and out striker that we fill that with. Maybe you get, some sort of kind of trial period here for an attacking midfielder. We'll see, man. Again, I think I just keep coming back to, I don't think we're done, but with those two rumors going out the window this past week, now we're just kind of waiting. We're in a holding pattern here for the next bits of smoke coming from, either domestically or internationally. We don't have much kind of cooking in the kitchen right now, so to speak.
Yeah. When was the Georgia Fitch made official?
Like 10, I think it was the first or second. It was the day after All-Star game. And that was the day the window opened. So it was the first day of the window, July 24th. All
right. So that's a week before they expected Palacios to be here. And then obviously that we're under the impression that he doesn't have a green card. So
Palacios, we don't know.
Someone would have had to have gone out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that could have hung it up as well. If we had something on the table for hot air or something, and then and then Palacios isn't coming through because of that.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Not something I thought about there. So yeah, it can also be things, right, that other plans that we have that are unreported that fall through that, cause that kind of domino effect for some potential inbound players. So, and and speaking of Djordjevic, he's not here yet still, right? So again, going back to what we said on the Green Smoke stream, not expecting a ton out of him. Hopefully by the time you get into, September, mid-September at the latest, I think, where he can come in and play spot minutes or rotate, maybe during that the Open Cup week, right? Because I would expect one of those league matches that week to be heavy rotation for Austin if we're taking that semifinal seriously, which we know they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and then what Danny said at the get-together there at Haymaker, he said that they wanted probably more than the fans do, which I thought was pretty awesome to hear him say. If I had to point like one position where I think I'd want to see this SEI used, I think it's someone tailored in that Rubio kind of role. Okay. I think that's where it is because, we're both kind of concerned about him breaking down and not being able to last, which I think is totally fair given his knee issues, his history with that, and how old he is at this point in time. So, because I do agree. I do think you can get CJ in and get 10 to 15 minutes out and not be like, oh, fuck, we're playing with 10 guys.
Every other game, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So it's going to be interesting, but I think a lot has changed, and you're going to see some pretty interesting moves come through the pipeline here.
Man, speaking of those old guys and their knees, man, we're really going back to the meet the team just for a second here. We're gonna stick Rubio and Ilya at the photo station where they got to stand up the whole time, man. Come on, let these guys sit down. Them young boys out there for these photos.
They have one of those old-timey photographers there too who goes in the hood.
Dude, and even like the other photo station, I didn't go up there to the bar there in the north end, but those guys were sitting on benches.
Oh,
we got the two oldest dudes on the team out there standing for 2 hours.
Come on, Nico.
Good on them.
That's ageism.
I mean, one more thing here that I know kind of started circulating the sicko parts of the fan base this week is starting to look ahead now that we are in the home stretch of the regular season, starting to look at some of those models that give you playoff probabilities, right? So going here from playoffstatus.com, Ian, we can get some zooms here on the YouTube, which doesn't, okay, there we go. Now we can see that a little bit better. Of course, 11 games remaining. That's about a third of the season. So like this table and these probabilities will change wildly, every couple of weeks here. But just wanted to highlight some of the numbers from this model at playoffstatus.com. Austin FC has an 89% chance to play postseason soccer this year, which of course would be our first postseason game since October 2022. So I'm saying postseason to include wild card game there, because I consider the playoffs to be starting in the first round, with the wild card just being kind of this, like the play-in the NBA. It doesn't count to the official playoff or regular season stats, but it is postseason play. But so look, man, like 90% chance to be at least top 9 here with a third of the season to go. It certainly felt worse, coming into June.
Yeah, you ain't lying there. We've been looking ahead for so long now at this point that this isn't really shocking to me at all, given who we have to play and what's left on this schedule, man. There's just so many bad teams. There's just some really not good teams. And like we said before, Austin can beat up on bad teams, and you just got to handle your business. And that's really all there is to this. And if you do that, you're in the fucking playoffs. That's it.
Yeah. Yep. And oh man, I was already getting juiced up yesterday. I was telling you, Houston is a week. It's Houston week now, baby.
We are officially in it.
A win against Houston this coming weekend would raise Austin's chances of that top 9 spot to 95%. So you're inching closer with a couple of wins here to close out August to maybe even locking up a top 9 spot. In mid-September. I think that is possible here if you can continue on this good run of form. As things stand, dude, we got a 10% chance right now at a top 4 spot, which we were talking about, last week. A lot would have to go your way, but 10% chance is not small, really. 1 in 10 from where you're sitting at now, and of course where you were a couple months ago. I'll take that right now.
Absolutely. Same sentiment as well for me. You're going to have to get some help from some of these top teams. And obviously we should broach some of the players that have arrived here in the Western Conference now at some point here. Good point. Because that sucks. But, just keep handling your business, man. These teams coming up suck. And it starts with this shit sucky Orange team. This upcoming Saturday. That's what it starts with. So set the fucking tone on these guys, man. I'm getting juiced now for sure. Yeah.
Another fun stat, speaking of that nasty Orange team and Frisco. Both Frisco and Houston have a 75% chance of not making the top 9. You can see here FC Dallas technically 76%, but I like that number a lot for both of those teams. And it looks like, again, from this model here at playoffstatus.com, that 15 points would get you very close to clinching one of those top 7 spots, avoid the wild card. That would give you an 83% chance of just being the 6 or the 7 seed, right? Not including the chance that you could be above that. So again, like we've been saying, and now confirmed here by at least one of these playoff probability models, everything, all the opportunity in the world still sits before the 2025 version of Austin FC. And I think that's a good point by you too, dude. We haven't done a ton of external MLS news this season, except, obviously we lock in on teams, do a deep dive in our preview episodes, but 2 huge names, not just coming to MLS, but the fucking Western Conference, dude. Thomas Muller first signs with the Whitecaps, and I know he's older, but even with the hit or miss nature of some of these guys coming over in their, waning years as professionals, when these guys hit, man, it levels a team up. And for a team like Vancouver, who has plateaued a little bit, right, over the last 6-7 weeks or so after their CONCACAF loss. Like, they're still a really good team, but like adding Thomas Muller in there for Pedro Vite, who they just sold down south of the border, I don't like that. And I especially don't like Son coming from Tottenham to LAFC. So like, and I see a lot of people saying, when are we going to, when are the names that we couldn't believe coming to Austin? Like, and we would love these guys too, right? We also know that Roto is working with a specific budget number. And like, I think the number was like 15 or 20 million in a transfer fee here from LAFC to Tottenham. And then I imagine Son is also going to command like 10 plus million annually with his salary. So it's just like, you can have Son, or we can have, and again, I know our DP trio hasn't been great shakes this year, but it's like kind of like, it seems like with our budget, you could have one of those guys as a DP, or we can have like 3 DPs.
I mean, we know we're behind the LA teams in regards to getting those names. It's just, it'll always be that way. No matter what, no matter how much our club ends up being worth, no matter how much fucking gam we have, we're always going to be second fiddle to those guys, no matter what. And Muller, man, like, you saw it with Bale at LAFC as well, where it's like he did, when he wanted to come in there and play and like really go do his thing, he did it. And like it was very, very impactful. And then, with Vancouver also getting healthier, getting Ryan Gauld back as well. Now you have both of those guys in that midfield pitching it to Brian White and shit. So like,
Sabby and Jaden Nelson and Eddie Ocampo, like, fuck.
Yeah, so they're going to be they retooled. They're going to be formidable for sure. Obviously, I don't think LFC is probably done, to be honest with you. They probably got some other fuckery up their sleeve going forward.
Right.
But yeah,
I will say, dude, like, sorry to interrupt that. Like, we get to see Son play now, though, which again, like, sucks for our chances in that game, but like, it'll be really cool to watch him. And I imagine that'll replace Joseph Paintel as Dessler's toughest matchup, I would think.
Yeah, that might be a slight upgrade there. Shit, man. I'm still holding out hope here that something with this season-ending injury thing is going to be big. A big fish. But like there are loopholes. There are things you got to jump through here. You got to jump through that international spot because that opens up a ton of options for you. And like ideally, you're finding someone who is coming off having played a little bit more here. Like with Djordjevic, he's been out for a while. You want to have someone in form. So fingers crossed for sure.
Yeah. And I think like while we're talking about things that are not really that, Austin FC related, or at least at best adjacent, dude, Leagues Cup has been awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think we've always kind of been above the average in terms of how much we enjoy the tournament, or just like less bothered by the money grab nature of it and just like enjoying the competition, especially between the two leagues over the first 2 years. They figured something out with these group stages, the two leagues playing each other, dude, because these games, not only have they been entertaining from just a soccer standpoint, these guys don't like each other, dude. There were 6 red cards across 6 matches on Saturday night. Yeah. Which, like, again, that could point to just like things maybe getting out of hand. But I really enjoyed these matches. I think we're going to have some stinkers here as teams are eliminated, for their final group stage match. But I've really enjoyed this first week here, man. And like, I also think we have some serious, like if we pull up the standings here for the MLS teams, if we can get Portland, Minnesota, Seattle, Colorado, these teams that are
Salt Lake
around us or above us in the Western Conference standings, Salt Lake as well, who are still alive to advance in this tournament. I'm cheering so hard for those teams because add games to your schedule, please, while we get to sit here and take one game at a time once a week. So man, I'm hoping we get Portland. I see Minnesota up there. I would love Minnesota to make a run to the final. Exhaust yourself before that semi in mid-September. Seattle for sure. That would be huge. Colorado as well. And Seattle and Colorado are in action here tonight on Sunday. So, those games start kicking off here in about an hour. So, we'll wrap this up before then, but I'm going to be tuned into these, paying attention all night.
Yeah, man. And like you have the opposite end of the spectrum where teams rotated like the Houston Dynamo and got their ass beat, which is quite funny because then you're going to come get your ass beat again. And that will all be for naught. I've always been a fan of the Leagues Cup. To our credit, I guess, or to our fortune, Austin had always matched up with Liga MX teams.
Yeah, so in the group stage, right?
In the group stage, which was always just fantastic, I felt, from the standpoint of like the atmosphere, the teams that we were seeing and everything like that. So like, they got to, and like we said, the first year that it came in, they got to fix some things, and they did fix some things. And like that's great to me, because it's never going to be a perfect tournament, but you can tell that these teams don't like each other. And when you have two leagues, jockeying for position globally in regard to who, is assumed the better league, I think that can breed a good rivalry. So it's been fun, and definitely be cheering for some of these teams to advance and get some more games on their schedule.
Come on down to Farmer Field where the champions play. Get ready for the game. It's last business day.
I love Utley firing the money gun. That always gets me. Last business day here on episode 244 of the North End podcast. Little recap against Sporting KC2. This match kicked off at noon on Sunday, so we had a little, it's getting us ready for NFL season here. Sitting down, watching the MLS Next Pro Red Zone, I guess. And look, dude, this surprised me for sure. We talked a lot on last episode, last Sunday, about how this was the lone winless team in Next Pro, and this has to, must win. Sporting KC2 won twice between last episode and today. Apparently last Sunday, they beat LAFC 2 on the road. LAFC caught a red card. Sporting gets their first victory of the season. And then on Thursday, they go on the road to Whitecaps 2, go down 2-0, and win 3-2. So Sporting KC2 coming in feeling great here with back-to-back wins in their 17th and 18th games of the season. And we see the lineup come out here. Some notable things, absences, Antonio Gomez and Jaca Barro not with the team here this week. We know Barro left early last week, and then it was Chuy Moreno coming in for Gomez late on. So apparently both of those guys injured enough to be held out here in this one. On the back line, we did get Riley Thomas in this lineup, but he was starting at left back as Chuy Moreno gets his first Next Pro start, if I recall correctly, at right back. And that center back pairing, Daniel Chesla and Jules Berry. In the midfield with no Jaca Barro, you had Adrian Gonzalez get back into the 11 alongside Irvin Torres and Jorge Alistue. Jorge did have the armband with Tony Gomez out. Vlad Danshutu at the 9 once again, and I was reminded, I guess I didn't even know, so not reminded, I was just informed by the broadcast that Vlad was in Europe earlier this summer, which explains his absence for a couple weeks there. I think he was with doing like youth Euros with the Romanian youth team, which I imagine for him is U21 at this point, I think. So, I mean, maybe it wasn't just that, Grogan had what we think were the issues with the red card and just the disciplinary stuff. But maybe that Vlad was just out of town and came back in and kind of took over the spot. And I'm also, dude, Micah came off the bench the last 2 games, and he's not even in the team here. So it could have stubbed his toe, and they could have kept him home. But I feel like it's been Michael Scott snip snap gif with Micah this year in terms of okay, he's in the 11 for a couple games, plays pretty well. Now he's on the bench for a couple games. Now he's not even in the team. And I feel like we've been through that, once or twice here this season. So that's just another thing I'm keeping my eye on, man, because it's I know I've said this before and I've said it a lot, but I'll say it again. You want your fucking first team assets out there as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a very inconsistent kind of up and down season for Micah. And, I don't want to say hopefully it's an injury, you know what I mean? Because
right.
It could be worse where it's he's fallen out of favor here. Something else is going on behind these scenes, but definitely something to keep our eye on. And I want to see him play as much as possible down there. You're right. He's got to get those reps in, period.
Well, then I found my new favorite MLS Next Pro player name. It definitely raised your eyebrows, made your ears perk up when you hear the announcer just in passing talking about Beckham Uteris. Uteritz, yes. that was interesting. Mr. Uteritz there wearing number 99 for Sporting. And this one kind of started with a bang, man, and not a good one for Austin in the 8th minute. There was a long ball over the top down the right side that found Gumbale, right, their right wing for SKC2. And Gumbale ran it down in the corner, and then Austin was able to dispossess as he tried to pass out of that corner. Irvin Torres stepped in to cut it out. And then Irvin touched it to Jimmy, who slid it back to Jorge Alistue at the top of Austin's 18-yard box. And he tried to drop it back even further to Riley Thomas, and Riley wasn't ready for it. But I'm going to put this one on Jorge for the wayward pass, because Alexandre for SKC2 steps in front of it, steals it, takes 2 touches towards the middle, and fires it past Charlie for the opener. And I also didn't know at that time that Sporting had picked up 2 wins, so I was pissed, man. I was like, man, I'm sitting here at fucking noon for an Austin FC2 game against a winless team, and we're going to go out like this. I know it was early, but I was not happy. And the team obviously wasn't either.
Yeah, not a great way to start this match out for sure. And particularly with Alistue being the person to have the errors player that we've relied on this entire season to be really consistent for us. So, no, not a hot start.
Yeah, and of course, carrying the armband here today. And I mean, he took that shit personally, because literally 3 kicks later, it felt like, off the restart from the center circle, Vlad drops it all the way back to Jules Berry. He touches it forward to Adrian Gonzalez, and Adrian turns and launches it long down that left side to Jimmy. And Farkelin runs it down, and then he puts a couple moves on his defender to open up space for a right-footed cross towards that back post. That ball gets nodded towards net by a wide-open Diego Abarca. This was poor defense from Sporting off the restart, but off that header by Abarca, Jorge Alistue charges in. Backheel flicks it home past the keeper here to equalize. I mean, literally, again, it was 8th minute first goal, 9th minute second goal. And we're back. I'm back in.
That's right. I saw this goal. Actually, it was a really nice setup and a nice little touch by Abarca, even though he was quite wide open there to get this into a dangerous zone, and crafty move by Jorge.
Yeah, and after that, man, Austin really, kind of came in and did what we expected them to do, at least the rest of the first half here, controlling the pace. 32nd minute here since that early exchange of goals. Austin, again, controlling possession as well. And here we get a throw in kind of midfield, far side from the broadcast camera. Chuy Moreno tosses it into Jorge. He progresses it quickly to Irvin Torres. And the break is on all of a sudden. Irvin plays Jimmy through down that left side into the 18. Jimmy, 2 step overs on his defender, who that right back was not having fun with Jimmy coming at him here today. And Jimmy gets to the end line. Nice cross that finds a charging Vlad Danchutu for the lead. And Vlad, kind of like Owen, first 2 goals of the season in back-to-back games. So now Vlad's in great form.
Absolutely. And when we talked about this matchup and previewed it, obviously you weren't aware of the 2 wins that SKC2 had reeled off here. But this was a team you had to beat. And, I was just checking out the table while we were chatting here, man. And I'm excited to talk about that once we finish this recap.
Yeah. And so real quickly, there wasn't, again, Austin controlled most of the second half. You got a yellow card to Jorge in the 41st minute, pulling a jersey in transition. And then in the second half, this was a notable shot, not just because it was a nice curling ball towards that back post from just outside the 18, but because it was off the foot of Brian Arellano, who, of course, still looking for that revenge goal against his former club. Charlie was able to parry that shot away, and then the back line ushered the second effort out, for a goal kick. But Sporting did have some stronger looks to begin the half. And then in the 71st, we get Austin's first subs, double change. Peter Grogan and Ruben Bonachera come on for Vlad and Chuy, and that moved Bonachera to his normal left back spot. Riley goes back to the right side, and immediately after the subs, Sporting loose with the juice at the back, and so they get their turn, giving it away in near their 18. Adrian Gonzalez took it off the defender just above that penalty area. He pinged it to Jorge, who gave it right back, and then he cuts towards goal. Beautiful lofted ball scooped over the top here by Gonzalez on the give and go. Puts it where only Alistue can get it, and he drives it across net inside that far post for the insurance goal. And capping off, again, despite the mistake at the beginning of the match, Jorge, man of the match, and well-deserved, man. The brace, insurance goal, you love to see it. And we coasted to the finish line here.
6 goals, 4 assists for him now, so sitting on double-digit goal contributions. He's been our best player all year, and he's been a real bright spot and another one of these guys who just kind of came out of nowhere. We weren't too privy on what he was bringing to the table, but found his way into the starting lineup and just hasn't looked back. So hats off to him for sure. He's been great.
Yeah, 80th minute, you get a double change. Mo Badawiya and Chris Avila come in for Jimmy and Diego Abarca. And then in the 90th, man, I had forgot about Marcel Roussel, who makes his Austin FC debut coming in for Irvin Torres. So just gets basically stoppage time there. But nice to see Roussel in the mix here, right? Coming over, I believe, from like second teams in Italy, Torino, I want to say. Again, that was a couple weeks ago, I think beginning of July when Roussel was announced, but new midfielder in the mix there, which again, like also made me go back and think, like, why is he here and not Micah? So we'll keep our eye on Micah. FCito, man, you brought up the table. There are a couple of Western Conference games still to occur later on Sunday evening, but as things stand at time of recording, Austin FC2 sitting in fourth place, sole possession of fourth place in the Western Conference of MLS Next Pro. Just a point above the Town, who does play tonight, currently has 3 games in hand on us. But man, like, even if you give wins for all the games in hand for the teams behind us, Austin is no lower than 6th. So again, it has been a great run of form over the last couple of months. In fact, 5-5-2 over their last 12 games. 3 of those 5 draws were shootout wins for Austin. So 23 points in your last 12 games after just 7 or 8 points in your first 7 games. It has been a great 2+ months here for the second team. And you get another huge test here because I know they're not quite in the same form as they were last year in their championship season. But it's a double derby weekend coming up, dude. North Texas SC comes to Palmer Field on Friday. So we will preview that match on Wednesday's episode. But man, again, like I'm already juiced up for Houston, but now we got Copita Tejas action at the pitch, man. It's going to be a great weekend coming up.
Yes, it is. And this team is really starting to figure some things out, really turn the corner. We gave Charlie his flowers a couple episodes ago for some great play, but a lot of dudes have stepped up all across the board. So kudos to those young boys and keep that shit going, man. Keep it rolling.
So closing out today's episode with a little bit of nonsense, Ian, that will be our best ball update. We had mentioned on last Sunday's episode that we were worried about our first place position given the Alonso Martinez hat trick for We Are Austin, hoping that Kelvin Yeboah brace would buoy us and keep that first place spot. It did not. 65 points for We Are Austin, jumping us. They're now 10 points ahead of us after we put up a 35. Soccer-wise, just 31 points behind us. So we are another poor week away from continuing to fall in this table. But look, we had a little break here, coming back next weekend, and just 10 points out of first. We're still in a decent spot with 11 or 12 match weeks to go here.
Yeah, we're fine. We Are Austin did get the Bogart blessing, so they could have that going for them.
And Bogart is 1-for-1 on his Verde Best Ball League prediction. So hopefully, we can tell him, told you so, when we come out on top. We are 2.5 weeks away from our final transfer window draft in the Verde Best Ball League. So looking forward to that. Anything else for you here before we shut it down? Really hoped we were going to be under an hour. You barely got through.
Hey, we did it. Nope. Just looking forward to Saturday.
Yeah, me too. And of course, before Saturday, we will be back on Wednesday previewing Austin FC's home match against Houston Dynamo, previewing the second team's match against North Texas SC, and talking about everything else that happens in the Austin FC universe between now and then. Keep your eyes out for potential green smoke streams. You can hit that notification bell to know when we go live, and enjoy the beginning of your week, everybody. We'll do the same, getting back to full health here, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday for another episode of the North End Podcast. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.